So this is more of a gentle reminder that our live session is today. So this evening we start promptly from 8:30 p.m. UK time. And we're really going to focus on NHS jobs. We're going to focus on two things: the jobs that are offering visa sponsorship, to those that need it. And we're also going to focus on interview questions and how to answer those interview questions. The reason why we're going to focus on this, for this session, is that there are so many of you that are coming in from other sectors. So you've got no healthcare experience, or maybe you've got healthcare experience, but not really a lot of experience. Maybe it's through volunteering or just because you've done some courses. And so it's important that we look at those entry level jobs, that you can apply for as a new person within the healthcare sector. Which ones offer sponsorship, which ones don't, and all of that. So we're going to look at all of those details. We're also going to look at the qualifications. What qualifications do you have? And by the way, drop a comment in the comment section below. Where are you watching from at the moment? It also just helps me tailor the type of information that I'm sharing to make sure that it is kind of tailored, to your individual needs and expectations. So leave that in the comment section below. And I would also like to know, are you currently applying for jobs in the UK? Are you in the UK at the moment? Are you out of this country? What is your main objective? Is it relocation, career progression, making more money? I mean, those are the three main things, right? So again, that's what the session is going to be focused on. So what are those jobs, in the first place? Clinical, non-clinical jobs. I get loads of inquiries from people saying, Melvis, I need a non-clinical job because of XYZ. Other people are very keen to get those clinical jobs because of their own background, their own interest, their own career goals and objectives. Many people want to get into nursing, obviously, because nursing has apprenticeship programs, which is where you're paid to work and study at the same time without paying any tuition fees. These are huge opportunities to study in the UK, at this point in time, or to progress in your career if you're already here. This is the path that the government is really pushing more towards, because the long-term plan is that they are less reliant on overseas workers and they can have, obviously, staff from within the country. Whether that's going to work out or not, but that's what the objective is, which means all of us have to be going with the government plan, and all of that. So we'll look at those opportunities. We'll look also at what they need, and all of that. And I can, so you're a nurse, but currently working as, okay, so that's fine. Have you done anything to transition back into nursing? So this is also something that is massive and is worth exploring. So if you are a nurse, for example, back home, and you're now in the UK working as a carer, for example, how do you transition back into nursing? Very important. It's not only about the pay, the fact that you're going to earn more, but it's also the fact that nursing is very different. The acute kind of work that people are used to is very different. So what have you started the process to transition back, for example, into nursing? What have you done so far? Where are you at with the journey? Because the NMC, by the way, just so I can piggyback on what you said, the NMC in the UK has introduced a pathway where you can also register without necessarily having those scores in IELTS or OET. So that is also a pathway that is worth exploring. Like for you, I don't know if you've explored that pathway. Have you written IELTS or OET? So there are lots of alternatives now that overseas candidates can pursue. But I think sometimes many people are consumed by the job that they do, so they don't really have a lot of time. And so you're just like, oh, I'm very busy, especially if you're doing domiciliary care. So again, that's something that we're going to look at as well. So how do you transition into nursing if you're already an overseas nurse back home? But also career progression opportunities. I mean, there are many people that are, nurses that are stuck. They're looking for non-bedside nursing jobs. They're looking for non-traditional nursing jobs. Many people are looking for work from home jobs. There are lots of remote jobs within the healthcare sector that are currently recruiting. In fact, if you are a member of my work from home tribe, which is a support group that I've created for those people that are interested in work from home jobs, making money online as well as just side hustles and all of that. We have a live masterclass coming up for that next week, Wednesday. And I just want us to focus on these healthcare related job, so you can do 100% from home. They pay better than the normal jobs that we do actually going into work, for lots of reasons. Because when you work from home, it actually costs the employer a lot less, so they can afford to pay you a lot more. This is the way to think this time and age. I mean, 2025. If you're not thinking out of the box, I tell you, you're going to be left behind, because things have changed. Things have changed. And so you need to change with the times as well. So you say you've done the CBT and it's expired. Yeah, I think the main thing is, where are you with the language proficiency part? So that's really the main thing. The language proficiency, that's the biggest challenge. So have you started that process? That's the main thing. So you're either doing IELTS or OET, or using the pathway that exempts you from that, because the CBT isn't really the big deal. Because the main thing is the English proficiency. That's where many people struggle. So where are you with that English proficiency? So just leave a comment in the comment section below. Obviously, I can read what you're saying, and I'll be able to provide more details as far as that is concerned. But there are lots of different pathways now. Like I say, you just need time to be able to follow up. And what I'm finding is many people are so busy. They're like, hey, Melvis, I've got people that I have to follow up a lot and say, you need to come here. What's going on with you? Attend a live session today. I need to see you. And they're like, Melvis, I'm very busy, and all of that. But you've got to take out time to be able to work on your own personal and professional development, because you cannot remain, obviously, as a carer forever. Well, in that case, I would get a job. I would definitely get a job with the NHS. Yeah. That's what I would do. I would definitely get a job with the NHS, because you need an employer that is going to support you. You need an employer that is going to guide you with your career progression goals. You cannot come to the UK and stay stuck with an employer that is not willing to support you, and they're not willing to support you, and they have told you they're not willing to support you. So what is why are you staying with them? I would just immediately start applying for another job. Definitely, it's worth it, because all the years you're gonna spend there, what's the point? Yeah, just get visa sponsorship with, ideally, the NHS. With the NHS, all of the toing and froing isn't really there. You just put in the effort once to get the job, and it's really worth it. And that's why I'm saying, during our live session tonight, we start 8:30 p.m. UK time promptly. We're going to focus on that. What are those NHS jobs that offer sponsorship? How do you apply? What are the clinical ones, non-clinical ones? What do they need for each of those? Because it's all good and fine knowing that, okay, this is the job you want to apply for, but how do you apply? Are there any particular requirements? Like you, for example, you're already a nurse. How do you use your experience and qualifications from nursing to then become the best candidate for the job you're applying for? If you're somebody who is coming in from another sector, how do you use those transferable skills to be able to get the job that you want? Those are the sorts of things that you need. And it needs effort. It needs time. I'm not saying it's a walk in the park, but it's something that needs to be done. Because you're saying you're working with this company, they're not willing to support you. You know that they're not willing to support you. I would just move on. And talking about this, my first 2 years as a nurse, I had so many jobs. I was literally like spending a maximum of 6 months in one job, and then I was moving on, and I needed visa sponsorship. So it doesn't matter. It's about you. It's about your goals. It's about what you're willing to do for your own, personal and professional development. Don't stay with employers that are not willing to support you, especially when you know that they will not support you. It just, yeah, to me, I'm like, it's good that so move on. Yeah, definitely. So they can transition back, because once you get into nursing, then you can explore the other opportunities that are available, which you will not have access to right now as a carer. So we'll look at that. We'll also look at the private companies as well, because there are some people that they don't mind, or because of their personal circumstances, it's fine to get those jobs for private companies. We'll also look what are the top private companies that are also recruiting overseas workers and give visa sponsorship. Because mind you, there are 5 private companies that own over 90% of all the contracts. So even though when you look at the list, on the Home Office website, there are thousands and thousands of companies that are licensed to recruit overseas workers, but only a handful of those companies actually own the contract, which means you're not just applying for a job for the sake of it, but you're ensuring that that company is among the top companies, and that they do have contracts. Because as you know, at this point in time, it's not just about getting sponsorship, it's about getting sponsorship with the right company that is going to have a job when you actually get sponsorship with them. And like I say, there are less than 5 companies that actually own over 90% of the contracts when it comes to private companies. So it's very disheartening. Lots of companies are joining the list every day. They've got licenses to recruit overseas, but they don't have any job, which means there is no point for you applying through those companies, because you're going to end up stranded and you will still be stuck with the fact that actually you need a job to be able to maintain yourself, but most importantly, to be legal in this country, because it is illegal to be unemployed if you're on visa sponsorship. You're not even allowed to work part-time. You've got to be employed full-time, working for the company that has given you visa sponsorship. And then if you want to do extra hours, you can do an extra 20 hours, obviously, with the same company or another company that is within a similar kind of work. So these are some of the things that we're going to talk about as well. What are the implications? How does this affect you? Because I think there are many people that are affected by some of these things that we're talking about. We're also going to talk about interviews, interview preparation. We have quite a few people who've got their interviews coming up. We'll use that opportunity to talk about it. Other people who've had their interviews. So we'll talk about what questions, were they asked. How do you respond to those questions so that when your own interview is coming up, you know exactly what to expect. And that is because these interviews are becoming very, very technical, which means you need to know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, it can be challenging, especially if you're brand new, into healthcare, or you're brand new when it comes to working in the UK, as well as expectations in the UK, because every industry or every country has different expectations and slightly different ways of doing things, even though the overall objective of a healthcare facility is the same, which is keeping our patients safe and delivering the best quality of care. But ultimately, there are slight differences in rules, regulations, as expectations, obviously, in all those different countries. So what are your personal circumstances at the moment? Again, leave a comment in the comment section below. Like I said, our live session starts promptly from 8:30 p.m. UK time. The session, as usual, will be recorded. So as long as you've registered, whether you attend the session or not, you're going to have access to the recorded session or the recording immediately after the live session. So you also get notified, through your email as soon as the live session is over, so that you can go through and check the recording in order for you to just see what it is that we've spoken about. We're also going to go through the free UK nursing courses. How do you apply? How do you find them? What do they need? What is the process? How does it actually work? What are the differences, that come with that? Because obviously, if you're applying to work and study at the same time, it's not like going to a university, and it's not also like just having a job. So what are those differences that will make you stand out, and that will ensure that you are actually successful? Because that's the point of all of this: success. Without the success, then but it's about you taking time. It takes time to get these concepts. It takes time to digest the information. It takes time to implement and see the results that we need. But it's really about implementing these things I'm talking about. So yeah, definitely worth it. And I can see so you finished advanced phlebotomy, you're in the UK, can you get a job in the NHS? Yeah, so you can definitely apply. As long as you're applying for entry-level jobs. But what I'll say is phlebotomy is a technical skill. So it is not a theoretical skill. That's a technical skill, which means 99.9% of the times, if the NHS, if they need a phlebotomist, you need to recruit somebody who is within the organization already, who is already trained by the organization and who is skilled. Because to work as a phlebotomist for the NHS, training from outside isn't considered, which means if you train with a private company, for example, come to the NHS, you cannot be working as a phlebotomist. You have to do their own training for you to work as a phlebotomist. So that's the way it works, because, like I say, it's not something that, there are lots of people that are doing these phlebotomy courses because of obviously YouTube videos, but it's a practical course. As an advanced nurse practitioner myself, you cannot just come and say to me, oh, I've done a 1-day course on phlebotomy, I'm very, very competent. No, it doesn't work. It's a skill that even me as a registered nurse, I didn't really do any phlebotomy. It's now as an advanced nurse practitioner that I've become really good at, because I do that with my current job. So it's a practical skill, it's not a theoretical skill. And that's why the NHS, when they are recruiting, there are certain areas that they recruit people from there, because those people are trained. Not even most nurses in the UK don't even have the skill because they don't need it. And it's very, very difficult. It's a difficult skill because many of our patients are elderly, they're frail, they're unwell, which means that taking blood from them, and all of that can be very challenging. And that's why you need to learn that skill within that environment. So you can definitely apply as any other person, but the NHS, you have to have their own training for you to get a job with them doing that, because it is actually a skill. So I'm looking forward to seeing you obviously during that live session tonight. Like I said, we start promptly from 8:30 p.m. UK time this evening. It's going to be recorded, so that whether you attend or not, you will have access to the recorded session as long as you've registered. You also get a notification when it started, when I go live, when the live recording is available. And so yeah, I've actually got an appointment now, so yeah, I need to go. Just leave your comments in the comment section below, and I'll be able to respond to any questions that you may have. Thank you very much, and have a beautiful day.